what's happening, everybody? It's Billy Nash. Welcome to the Luxury Real Estate Show with me, Billy Nash. Hope everybody had a productive 7 days and look forward to another productive 7 days coming forward. So, what's happening in the real estate market? What's happening in South Florida? Well, first of all, it's absolutely freezing here. I know that people think it's always sunny here, which pretty much it is. But every once in a while, we get that little cold that comes down from the Northeast and the Midwest, and we'll get 1 or 2 days of freezing cold temperatures. For us in Florida, 40 degrees means batten up the hatches, and it feels like you're living in an igloo, and iguanas start to fall out of the trees. So people are probably saying, what the hell is he talking about? Iguanas falling out of the trees. Well, if you didn't know, if the temperature drops below a certain level, the iguanas in Florida fall out of the trees like missiles, lay on their backs, belly up. You think they're dead. And then once they warm up, they start moving around again and they take back off up into the trees. So yeah, we actually have falling iguanas when the temperatures get cold. But let's talk about real estate and what's happened, what's going on in the markets. And then we'll focus on some things that I think can help you with your business, some strategies to think about. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about the unicorn, right? The mythical creature, the unicorn. Well, in real estate, the unicorn, in my eyes, doesn't exist. And when I think about that and what that would mean when you think about that is, it's really hard in this business to be absolutely perfect. Nobody is perfect. Pricing things to perfection, checking all the boxes, 10 for 10 when you're showing a property. You're discussing the needs and the wants of a client, a very valuable client. And I've seen this over and over again over the last 7 years. What happens is when you're over-promising and you under-deliver, you're setting yourself up for not only disappointing the client, you're also setting yourself up to disappoint yourself and your business. So one of the things in my business, which is very important, is to set proper expectations. Nothing is perfect. If I go and show you a property, whether it's a $5 million property, a $10 million property, a $20 million property, nothing is perfect. Be prepared that things may not check all the boxes. They might check 7 of the 10 boxes. 5 out of the 10. But one of the things you have to do in this business is be 100% transparent with your clients and set the expectation that this may not be the perfect property, but how does it make you feel, right? How does it make you feel when you walk into that yard and you see that pool and you see those palm trees? Or when you go into that beautiful kitchen or that beautiful family room, or look at that blue water. Don't primarily just focus on all the boxes to check. Focus on the feelings of your client. How does it make you feel? And I think that will handle many things that could come up once you have a contract in place, right? Because things can be dealt with. There could be 3 out of the 10 things that didn't check on the box that can be added down the road by the client, right? And that will save you, because it saves me, a lot of time. Because there are real life examples where I have seen agents do this time and time again. They set unrealistic expectations and set up the client not only be disappointed, but also non-productive for their business. So it's very important and very critical to understand what the client's emotions are when they're purchasing the house, right? And setting those expectations. You know, I'd rather set expectations to prepare things that might not be perfect down the road than to have things come up and kill a deal, right? Because that happens. And, you know, here's an example that can may help you. This is something that happened recently. You know, I'm representing the seller in a property, beautiful property. And this agent comes over with their client and the, proof of funds in place, real buyer. And It's exactly what we're talking about now. They were looking for the unicorn, and the unicorn doesn't exist. It's really hard to check all 10 boxes. So when this particular buyer came back, he wanted to see a couple of more things. Again, he was looking to check the 10 out of 10 boxes. And that's very, very difficult. And I have a feeling if that excellent agent, by the way, maybe took it to the next level to prepare the buyer that, hey, this house is incredible, but it may only check 7 out of 10 boxes, it probably would have been moving towards a contract and an offer. But because because that buyer was looking to check 10 out of 10, it's difficult. It's hard. And good luck, because at the end of the day, it creates that mythical creature that you're looking for. You know, the unicorn. Well, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So what I said to this particular buyer, I said, listen, you're at the top of your game, right? When you're working with your clients, how often do you get 10 out of 10 boxes checked? Well, good point. Exactly. So this house can check 7 out of 10, right? So that's the way I position things with my loyal clients and with my loyal buyers, right? You know, sellers and buyers. I mean, they're both clients, but at the end of the day, it's something that I am fully transparent about. When I'm working with clients, there's always going to be something. I don't care if it's new construction, if it's a tear down and they have a vision of building something incredible. You never know. We talked about this once before. Those potholes will always exist. It's the way you fill them, right? And you'll have a stronger relationship with your client, and you'll get more business done, because then you don't become, what we talked about in a previous podcast, a PTW, a professional time waster. So very, very important to set expectations properly, and even on pricing, right? Here's a perfect example. Another one. I don't price properties perfect. I could be off because market shifts. I just lowered the price on a property 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, $1 million. And yeah, it's a little painful to deliver that message to the client because your expectations a year ago may have been different, but I'm adjusting to the market shift. And after I made that $1 million price reduction, the property's now under contract. All cash, closing in 30 days. So, again, setting expectations, maybe only checking 7 out of 10 boxes. The unicorn doesn't exist. And I think if you start to think that through when you're with your buyers or your sellers, your loyal clients, I think it'll help you in your business. Think about it. Let's look at the baseball analogy, right? If you got a pitcher that's out in the 5th inning, everybody starts to score on him. You don't keep him in through the 9th inning. You make a change, right? Because you had set expectations that when the game started, you might need to go to the dugout, right? Important stuff. So if you're out there with clients and you're telling them everything is perfect, that's fantasy land. You're looking for the unicorn, which doesn't exist. It's just the way I run my business. And I think if you pick up on some of these little, little tidbits, little gems, I think it'll help you in 2023. It'll help you build and run a stronger business, because anybody that tells you things are perfect, I always say, run, don't walk. So I think that's something to think about, and it will definitely help you. So remember, checking the boxes versus someone's feelings towards a property. The feelings of the property, I think, to me, if you're representing a buyer, are a lot more powerful than having to check perfection in all the boxes. I think it'll save you a lot of time and help you with your business, and you will do more deals in 2023. But, so don't be a unicorn agent, right? We'll throw that out there. Don't be a unicorn agent and aiming for perfection. Listen, I'm pretty good, but I ain't perfect, right? And I adjust to the things I need to adjust to, and I help the clients understand that as well. And I think that's powerful when you're working with your loyal clients. So I think another thing that is interesting, what's happened in the last week, right? We'll talk about what's been going on. I did get a question from someone that's listening to the podcast, which I thought was a good question. I mean, I know that we addressed 2023 with Mike Pappas a couple of weeks ago to kick off the new year. But let me read you this question from John in Dallas, Texas. So John says, Billy, national headlines are showing declines in many markets across the country. What are you seeing in South Florida? Well, besides falling iguanas, the market here is chugging along. The luxury real estate market in South Florida, if you read headlines, is still doing business. There hasn't been any 25%, 30% declines. The world is over. We're still doing business, and buyers are still coming to Florida. So if you're out there reading headlines that that there's a market in San Francisco that's down 25 or 30%, or a market somewhere in the Midwest is down 20, it's not happening in South Florida. South Florida has a unique value proposition. And just in the last 3 weeks in South Florida, there has been some mega deals announced. And mega deals, I mean, big ones. You look at Tom Ford. Tom Ford spent over $50 million to buy a property on Palm Beach Island off the water, right? Dip your toes in the grass for over $50 million. You had Bon Jovi, right? Living on a prayer. Well, actually, his prayers were answered because he bought a house for over $40 million, his second large transaction on Palm Beach Island. Good for you, for those agents that I know personally that have done those deals. I won't mention them by name, but they are true rock stars. Rock stars. No jealousy here, just admiration and acknowledgement that you are definitely rock stars on Palm Beach Island. And then our good old buddy Robert Kraft, spent over $50 million on a apartment in Palm Beach Island. And I know that who represented him is listening to this podcast, and another rock star. And congratulations and good for you. I love success. And everybody on this podcast is successful in their own way, right? In their own way. It's not just about the money and how many transactions can I do. If you're happy and you're working hard and you're a good family man, right? You take care of people, you put out good karma. In my eyes, that's all the success in the world. So the South Florida market, like I said, is still strong. We might be going back to longer deals, longer transactions. I mean, here's another example. I have an awesome loyal client that called, and we're right now looking at potentially doing something in the Palm Beaches to build for $20 million, right? They ain't scared, right? They're not afraid of the headlines that are trying to spook people out of the markets. South Florida is a desirable place, and the tax advantages of being in Florida haven't changed. The wealth that's in Florida hasn't changed. And guess what? That lifestyle, that South Florida lifestyle, is still one of the best in the country. So to answer your question, I know that was a little long-winded with some examples. We are still doing business in South Florida, and we will continue to do business in South Florida. So if you're a buyer and you're listening to this podcast, and you're an agent that's representing a buyer that's thinking about South Florida, don't wait too long, because inventory has definitely given you an opportunity to maybe take a little bit of a slower approach to making that purchase. But if you wait too long, I just do not see this prediction of this big, big downturn in the South Florida market. We have mass transportation starting with the Bright Line. We have Wall Street South being built everywhere in West Palm Beach and Miami, right? The banks are coming. The banks are here. They kind of figured it out. It sucks in the winter in the Northeast. And there's lots of advantages of being here in South Florida. So I think that engine continues to run strong, right? If you're moving your company to South Florida, what do? You're not going to put your people in tents in Okeechobee, right? They're going to have to buy houses, which keeps the demand going. We had 1 million square feet of commercial real estate that's being built right now in South Florida in a new building, right? Broke ground. I don't even think they're up to the second floor. 100% leased. That's got to tell you something of the underlying strength in the market in South Florida. So there's always a market within the market. So don't forget that. No matter what market you're in, right? If you're seeing declines in your market, there's a market inside that decline. So take advantage of it, right? Don't be afraid of a market that might be correcting in your marketplace, right? Be there to catch it, right? Don't wait for your phone to ring. Make that outgoing call. Talk to your clients. Talk to your prospects. Adapt to the changes in the market. But as far as South Florida goes, it's still strong. My opinion is it'll continue to be strong. And even in a rising interest rate environment, right? Which I think, we have seen inflation start to tick down a little bit. Of course, they exclude food and energy, which of course is the most important thing in the whole fucking number. Right? But we still see, eggs, holy shit. I don't know if the last time you had scrambled eggs, it'll cost you $100. But at the end of the day, inflation is starting to tick down, right? But there's still deals getting done. And that is what you got to take away from this. There's a market within the market. So we're still strong. If you're in a market that's selling off, be there to catch it, right? No matter what business you're in. Corrections, in my opinion, bring opportunities. And don't ever forget that. Uncertainty brings opportunities. And that's the way I always think. So the market here is strong. And your market, if it is down, catch it. Catch it, no matter what business you're in. So with that, I think we'll end it. We'll wrap it up. I'm going to go see if I can revive some of these iguanas that are laying all over the front yard. They should warm up and take off by about noon. And then the beautiful weather comes back. It'll be back in the 70s and sunshine and back to business. And I'm super excited about tomorrow. And I think I'll throw this out there. My cousin built a beautiful sailboat and sailed from Italy all the way to Palm Beach. He went on an epic journey. That would have scared the shit out of me. Being out on the ocean like that, 15, 20-foot swells, 85-foot sailboat, 90-foot sail. Let me tell you, God bless him. He's back home safe. It was good to see him the other day. And he invited me to go sailing tomorrow on this beautiful vessel that he built. So tomorrow, I'm going to be sailing. I'm excited. I'm not that big of a sailor. But listen, it's going to be a great, beautiful, sunny, warm day. And I'll be on that sailboat. And I think I'm going to have him on for a guest, because the boat is incredibly luxurious, and it was a sailboat built to go around the world. And his stories that he's told me over the last couple of days since he's been back are incredibly epic. Me personally, I'll stick to the Queen Mary when I go across to England from New York every summer, which is over 1,000 feet, and it has good wine and a spa. So with that, I love yous all. Have a great week. Get deals done, and I'll talk to you all soon. And listen, share this with your friends on podcast. Share this podcast with your friends on Apple, a podcast, on Spotify, wherever you'll download your podcasts. And I appreciate it. You know, if you like the podcast, give me a good review, 5 stars, and we're going to come back at you hard, unscripted next week. And I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon.